Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat Five segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. What is up? Welcome back to Big Fat Five, a podcast financially supported by Big Fat Snare Drum. My name is Ben Hilsinger, and this week's guest is Jonathan Pinson, an award-winning drummer and band leader. He's played with Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, and so many others. He has a master's in music from UCLA via the prestigious Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz Performance. He's also currently a professor at California Institute of the Arts. He's an incredible musician, and it was an honor to have him on the show. Please go check him out. Link in the show notes, all that jazz. No pun intended, but let's get to it. I hope you enjoy the 5 records that helped shape Jonathan Pinson into the drummer he is today. Cheers. Maybe you have done this, and I'm sorry if I haven't seen those videos, but I've been seeing a lot of the Nelson Drum Shop, Pro Drum, Grooves of the Day thing. And
Right.
So if you were to go into one of those shops and they give you sticks and they just say, Jonathan, just go crazy for 30 seconds, what would you do?
That's a good question. I probably just give them the sticks back.
That's actually the best answer I've had so far. Most relatable answer, I guess, yeah.
It's be like, you don't want to hear me play right now. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's such an interesting thing. If I were to do it, obviously I just play because I love drums. I look at the drum set as like a full-on laboratory. I think Cannabis did that too.
Yeah.
That was during the process of me just investigating. First of all, it was my snare, just seeing how they went and tuned it in what they like to their liking.
Yeah, your signature snare, by the way, people don't know. So congrats on that, man.
Thank you so much. But yeah, normally my time in those moments is really just being one with like the actual sound and observing the quality of the instrument. If it costs me to chop out, I'll do that in the music. But most of those times, I'm really just there, just trying to engage the instrument. That's what I would probably do.
That's the correct answer, honestly. And before we hop into your top 5, what was your mindset going into this? I know I did prompt you as the records that shaped you, but people attack it at all different angles. Yeah.
So it was actually a really, I actually liked that project. And then, when you said to me, I was in New York and I was like, all right, when I get back to LA, I got to really process it. And I was processing it on the plane and this and that. I think how I went about it in terms of like my choices, because I could go from the realm of like my Los Angeles heroes, which I didn't do that much because Billy Higgins is the guy for me. But I kind of went about it in an artistic route, and not just from the perspective of a drummer, but just also how artistically, how it kind of influenced like my path of where I'm at currently. So the 5 picks were kind of solely on that. And I had a couple of honorable mentions that kind of still touched that realm.
Yeah.
In that. So that's how I went about my picks.
Love it. All right. So let's just number 1. The album is Perceptual. And I guess I always forget to say this. Is this in any particular order of, most to least, or how they were introduced to you, or?
Yeah, no, this was literally, it was like clear, like, all right, this is what's in my head right now. Boom. And yeah, that can be the first, actually. That's totally fine because
okay.
have a problem with Brian Blade being the first one.
Yeah, hell no. All right, so the album is Perceptual. The release year is 2000. The artist is Brian Blade and the Fellowship Band. The song choice is Perceptual. And of course, like you said, the drummer is Brian Blade. Take it away, and then we'll listen to it.
Okay, so basically the reason why I had this as my pick, I think this record can be stated as like this was a culture shock in the world of drums.
Mm.
Brian Blade is a very important figure around like I would say the late 90s is when late 90s to like the early millennium, the 2000s, where he kind of made a mark in his career. And in this album, you kind of get a taste of his artistry as a band leader. The Fellowship in modern jazz music was probably arguably one of the best bands that came out in the 2000s. There's live records of Perceptual too, where the crowd gets kind of like really inspired, I guess, for the amount of energy or the sonic energy. This is the recording version of it. And you kind of still get that sense of like color and storytelling within the band. And Brian is like the forefront of making that happen.
I love it. All right, well, here's, we'll listen to a little bit of Perceptual. Here we go. He makes every cymbal sound so good.
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, I've seen him a couple of times. I actually have to give a lot of thanks for him in my career too. I've known him since I was 17, 18.
Oh, wow.
So 17, 18, our relationship came about where he had to use my cymbal because it didn't make it on the playing for the Wayne Shorter Quartet. What I admire about him too is like he never plays the wrong thing ever.
Yeah.
It just seems like he never makes a mistake as a drummer ever.
So yeah, explain a little more. So he didn't get his cymbal didn't make the plane. So how did he approach you? Was he nervous? I mean, like how did that interaction, like the nuances of that interaction?
Yeah, well, more so I was nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
We were playing at the Panama Jazz Festival. I think this was actually my first out of country tour.
Mm.
I was in Berklee College of Music at the time. It was my first year in college, and they brought a band to open for them. So Danilo basically called me and was like, "Hey, Brian Blade needs cymbals. Can he use yours?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I get there to sound check, and this is the first time I meet Brian. And Brian was just like very grateful, super nice, super warm. And, me being 18, I took this as the opportunity to ask some questions within the days because we were there for like a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed what was really great about him is just like he made me a part of the experience. Like I never felt like I was really in the way with him. I think he kind of engaged a kid who was inspired by him to be in his space. And that experience in general, it made a huge impact in my life. They say never meet your heroes. And this was a clear case of like, I'm glad I met him because it kind of sets the standard of what kind of person you should strive to be if you ever get to that level of excellence.
Yeah, we've had a few people come on the show that have met him, and they've all said the exact same thing. And it's kind of like when you listen to him play, it's like he has to be a nice guy, and just the way he interacts with people, within the music. He has to be this humble, giving, selfless person. And so it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
100%. No, yeah, he's definitely a muse for many, including myself, in terms of my going my own path as an artist and as a drummer too.
Mm-hmm. Let's just go on to number 2, and the album is Citizen Tain. The release year is 1999. The artist is Jeff Tain Watts, and the song choice is The Impaler, and of course it's Jeff Tain Watts. So take it away.
Okay, so Jeff Tain Watts, what is there, where to begin with him?
I'll be honest, I am not familiar with Jeff, so
No worries.
talk to me as if I don't know, which is true.
It's fine. So Jeff Tain Watts is a very crucial. He was really strong in terms of the Marcellus brothers' sound.
Mm.
Bradford Marcellus and Wynton Marcellus, they came out in the 80s, and that they kind of sparked the movement of like the Young Jazz Lions and the resurgence of like jazz music.
Mm.
But Jeff Tain Watts, which I'm sure plenty of the guys can say this, it's been a while since there's been like a strong voice in drums in jazz. In a while after like the 70s have submerged, and then you have this straight ahead combination happening. And Jeff Tain Watts was like, he's like the guy that came up and found a way to put infusion and then like the combination of the Elvin sound with the combination of the Tony Williams sound. And was like, all right, here's this gumbo pot, and this is Jeff Tain Watts. And when he came into the scene, he kind of inspired like Eric Harlan, in terms of his approach, and musicians that come right from that, like Ronald Bruner. They can all coin and say like Jeff Tain Watts was the guy that they were checking out. And he kind of put this polyrhythmic perspective that Elvin already kind of introduced, but he put it in a totally different way. In addition to him being like this influential, innovative drummer, which you'll hear on the track, is his compositions were also amazing. He was a brilliant composer. So again, it was my first, I guess one of my first experiences when I decided to be a band leader. Like, he was a great example of like, okay, he could really write, just like Brian. I think he came earlier than Brian in terms of a demonstration from my time as a growing musician. Like, oh wow, this is a great drummer who has his own sound on the drums, but then can write, and you could tell that's his writing.
I love it. All right, here we go. Here's The Impaler.
Here we go. Lambs, man, the Swiss Army triplets.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get your sleep in the bunk after that. That is
Yeah, 100%. Like a drummer like that, you have to just like come in with an assertion on your instrument, because he's not letting up the whole time. Kind of remarkable to see another like contrast, of just like, all right, this is one way of like the approach to drums, and this is a whole nother way, which is equally still as amazing. So,
yeah. Have you ever gotten a chance to meet Jeff?
Yeah. So I met Jeff a couple times, and I just saw him not too long ago. And it was funny. Like he was doing a gig. I was on tour. One of the landing places was in Chicago, and he was playing in Chicago at the same time. So I was like, "Oh, Jeff Tain's playing. I'm gonna come."
Yeah.
I went over to see him at the club, and he spotted me. And then they were playing like this fast tempo tune. He was killing it. Then he spotted me and saw me, and he had me come and sit in and play after him.
Holy shit.
And mind you, you heard what you just heard just
Yeah.
did. And then I'm like, you want me to play like right after? Like it's Jeff Tain. Like, I did not want to play right after that. And he gave me the little finger wag too, just like come kid, like you gotta come and get some of this. And it was fun, it was exhilarating, but I did not want to play right after Tain.
All right, number 3, live on tour in Europe. The release year is 1976. The artist is a drummer that is honestly not talked about enough on this podcast, the Billy Cobham George Duke Band. And the song choice is, am I going to mess up the name?
You're going to have a hard time.
Ol Mustafa, the Beloved?
Yeah, Al Mustafa, the Beloved.
There you go. And then, of course, Billy Cobham on drums. So take it away.
Yeah, so people don't know this in regards to me in terms of my playing, maybe per se, but Billy Cobham actually was a strong influence in how I approach the drums. Actually, how I even go things with my own group. Him and George Duke in this album, and especially when I first heard this song, I was like, "Oh man, this is a whole sound." Sonically, just what's happening in this track in particular between him and George Duke, like Billy Cobham sounds like a superhuman on drums on this. Like he just sounds like a superhero in general. And the way I look at Billy Cobham is just like fully like a superhero. You could just even tell, like, him with the little like wrap around his head, the 2 bass drums, him with the singles, just powering through in the singles. He was just an amazing titan. And the first time I heard him actually was with McCoy Tyner's Fly with the Wind. I was like, I have never heard someone play that strong on the drums with an amazing pocket structure and shape building up the tune. You know what I mean? Like that's just like Billy Cobham has all the qualities of just like a masterful drummer just doing masterful things on the drum set.
Unfortunately, I don't know much about George Duke. It was a duo or the co-leadership thing they did together, or?
Yes. Okay.
So
this particular project was those two as the co-leaders, which was genius because during that time period, they were the 2 leaders of the jazz fusion period.
All right, here's Al Mustafa, the Beloved.
Is this your first time hearing this?
This track, yeah.
Oh, man.
For years, the people of Orphalese carried a feeling of warmth and beauty within their hearts.
This is a show.
But as all
dude, I can already tell, yeah.
Their leader, Al Mustafa, had to depart to carry his majestic feeling of the story of life to other lands. Though time and time again, his believers knew of his departing, and although his body would be traveling far, ever so far away, his soul will remain with them forever, and they'll remember always Al Mustafa, the beloved.
That is just pocket, man.
The noontide brings silence.
And these guys are singing while playing too.
Sails in distant spring gazes.
And they're still right here. They got two of them.
Jesus.
It's just comical how powerful this guy is.
The crowd has now gathered.
Oh, watch this too. This is crazy.
Are you sure what to bring in?
Comical.
Jesus.
Please don't offend.
And this too, right here.
He'll not reject it.
So clean.
Yeah, the ending of this.
Wings of my
Oh, God.
Can't you tell by this place that we're going to take you?
Yep, right here, coming up.
It's not very far away.
And this is what, 76. My God.
It was different.
You know, back
period.
then, no one's on their phone. Everyone's actually experiencing this live.
Yeah, they're like in complete shock. Here we go. Yeah, this part. Oh,
Mm. Yeah, it's so funny with music. It's when something's so good, you just have to laugh.
right. Absolutely. I mean, well, it was. There's so many moments where it just felt like he just had control of everything that was happening, and that was the other thing too. The strength he applies in his instrument too, the power that he's able to display is just remarkable. Those singles, I've to this day, it's still hard to accomplish. Like the role of singles within the toms, I still just in disbelief of hearing that.
I'm sure his drum heads, when they get picked up, they're like, oh, it's Billy today? Damn it, we're screwed. We are screwed. Good night, guys. Damn it. We have insurance on? Okay, cool. Awesome.
Right. And this is 76 Billy.
Yeah.
So this is Hulk Hogan, Billy Cobham. Like peak form. His sticks are gonna break in this tour, Billy, for sure. Yeah, so I know they had problems.
The hardware we have today was because of people like Billy Cobham.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The Swivel-matics ain't going to work anymore.
No.
All right, well, to do a total 180 almost, but not to take away the amazingness of that drumming, let's go to the album Continuum. The release year is 2006. The artist is John Mayer. The song choice is Gravity. And yeah, Sir Steve Jordan. So take it away, and then we'll listen to some very different drumming.
Right. Steve Jordan and another person you could put in this category, which is Questlove, they demonstrate a science of like amazing drum sound, first of all, in a recording setting. He is a great example of showcasing sonically mastery of like, oh wow, this is an incredible snare sound. This is an incredible bass drum sound. And then when you add just the science within that pocket, which people really take for granted, like a high level of playing pocket music. It was funny in another standpoint is the same time I was listening to Billy Cobham was also the same time I was paying attention to Steve Jordan. When you really look at this guy's, I say Pokemon cards of like, and the reason why I say that, Pokemon cards of like his lineup of people he's played with is just like, man, he's just been around playing so many different artists, just elite artists at that. And then when you really listen to him or like check out stuff on him on YouTube, he's in a complete encyclopedia of like music and the history of drumming too. And you could hear that in his playing, even when he's just playing 2 and 4. It's hard. It's like, unless in like the greats, man, like legends like Clyde Stubberfield and plenty of greats that just have that sound of playing pocket. And Steve Jordan is one of those people that are alive right now that just have that thing that we're still trying to process and understand on how to get that kind of sound. And
Absolutely.
not only get that kind of sound, still having that understanding of that Steve Jordan. Like we could understand sonically that's Steve. Because you could play, a lot of people play 2 and 4. A lot of people could play 2 and 4 well on pocket. It's really hard to do when you are able to do something like that that's so simple and people know right away that that's Steve. And I love this song too because the whole song, we forget about like when it comes to making an album, how to make the song sound so good, the quality just being so good.
100%. All right, here's Gravity.
Again, another guy say never makes a wrong choice when it comes to music.
Oh, I'll never know what makes this man.
That thing's still sizzling.
Yeah, man.
That his heart can stand.
Wow.
Dream of ways to throw it all away. Whoa, whoa. Gravity is working against me. And gravity wants to bring me down. Oh, twice as much ain't twice as good, and can't sustain like one half could. It's wanting more, it's gonna send me to my knees. Like one half could. It's wanting more, send me to my knees. Whoa, whoa. Gravity, stay the hell away from me.
See that right there, that one stop makes it so impactful.
Yes.
Has taken better man than me. How can that be? Just keep me where the light is. Just keep me where the light is. Just keep me where the light is. Come on, keep me where the light is. Come on, keep me where the light is. Come on, keep me where.
Yeah, he goes on the ride, then he kind of ends on the dome. He kind of like grooves up towards, those little choices. So good.
Man. I'm starting to realize, I guess, in terms of the things that's important to me is like shaping the song and making constant sonic mature choices within the moment of the music. We like the peak contrast from what we heard with Billy Cobham. Here's one perspective of that, of somebody just shaping the story of the tune. And here you have Steve Jordan, who's just constantly in the moment making like the subtle but very impactful choices the whole time in the song as well. Storytelling is hard, man. It's when it comes to talking about the masters in drums, having that ability is what separates someone from being a good drummer to like a great drummer. And you could go about it in different ways, whether you're a band leader or, and for most cases, like a person like Steve Jordan, where you're just the call. It's because of the fact that people depend on you to be that person, to make those right choices consistently.
I would love to have that confidence in myself, to just trust my instincts like that and then know that they're right.
Right.
And it's cool to hear that you and you were implying that you're kind of realizing in real time that your choices are storytelling. And so it's fun to, when you put together a group of selections and you're like, I don't know what the through line is, but then you figure it out. And it's cool to see that in you in this list. So awesome.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right. So number 5, Live at the Village Vanguard, release year's 1999. And this player's already been listened to today, but it's Wynton Marsalis.
Right.
And the song choice is Jig's Jig. And the drummer is Herlin Riley. I don't know much about Herlin Riley, so take it away.
Herlin is a New Orleans drummer legend. I was really juggling with like a couple of choices with my 5th pick. I really am happy with this pick because Herlin, for me, was the first person I saw that he gave me as an example of like, man, he has this amazing pocket, this amazing groove, but then he uses like the cowbell, that he plays the tambourine. He goes around and uses all these little nuances of how to create all these amazing textures that make sense for the band. But his feel is just so amazing. So, before there was like Chris Dave, who we always champion as a guy who uses like so many gadgets, like whether it's the 2 snares, where it's the ring cymbal, or whether it's just like playing like the hand percussions, like as toms. Herlin was kind of that guy that did it before Chris. And when you really even think about it, in New Orleans drumming, that's been kind of a thing all the way up to Baby Dodds. So Herlin was a good example of that because he became, especially when this record came out, he was known as like, all right, he's the champion legend of New Orleans drumming for sure. And this song in particular, also the other one, The Cat in the Hat, is also my other favorite in that album. But this one, I think he shows like a little bit of this like percussive feel while using like the cowbell and a couple other things. And he's playing on his hands on the snare. And he's just showing a whole display of how to groove in different ways. Herlin Riley. That's my pick for number 5.
Hell yeah. Well, here we go. Jig's Jig.
Tambourine.
Is there like a tambourine on the tom or something?
On the fourth time, yep.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, that's your 5. And before I let you go, let people know what you're up to.
So I just got back from New York, I guess, playing with this R&B. He makes fun of me, but he doesn't take it any slighting way. It's like he's like a R&B fusion John Mayer, if you will. His name is Christian Correa. He's a singer-songwriter, but he also plays guitar too. So just imagine him like in an R&B setting, sort of, but like the guy's soloing guitar and he can sing and all that stuff. So I've been going off and on playing with him. I'm setting up a West Coast tour with my band, Boom Clap. And then I got some tour dates with the great Mark Turner on saxophone. So I'm kind of flipping around. Today I got I got a couple of things with this hip hop artist, IDK.
They were at Coachella. They were like literally across the trailer park, I guess, from us, the artist village. Yeah.
Hilarious. So yeah, I'm doing like a private event for that and some other things with him. And then yeah, just kind of just all over the place, playing with a couple of cool artists. Yeah, and I'm playing a couple of shows in Los Angeles as well.
When is that? I'm in Los Angeles, so I'd love to come see you play.
Oh yeah. So I know how long are you gonna be in LA?
I
Are
live
you
in LA. Yeah, I'm LA based.
man, so I'm doing like this 3 day kind of like guitar fest.
Hell yeah, dude.
The first one is with Andrew Renfro, amazing guitar player. They're all at Sam first.
Okay.
But the 26th is Andrew Renfro, and then the 27th is with Gilad Hexelman, and then the 28th is with Mike Moreno.
And this is of April?
This is of April. It's
Okay.
like back to back to back. And then I guess I just found out that they just texted me now. They want me to play the 29th, where all three of them are playing at the same time. So I'm actually really looking forward to that because I've played with all of them in bands or whether I'm in their band, and they are amazing guitarists. They're great writers, just great band leaders and great artists in their own right. It's a treat for me that I get to just hear even just the differences in their playing within days of each other, and then actually being there to actually hear them all at the same time.
Yeah, okay. I'll make sure this comes out next week. So people hearing this if you're hearing this on the day it comes out, this will be Wednesday the 26th. So tonight and then the next 3 nights. Go check out Jonathan in LA.
Yeah, and let me know when you come. I'll put you and Billy in the list, man. It'd be great to just see each other in person and everything.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm stoked to see you play. I'll definitely be at one of those nights, so for sure. And then, as everyone knows, your links are in the show notes. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, dude. That was really, really fun. And yeah, it was really cool to see that through line of telling a story, dynamics. Everyone should have been writing notes. I know I was. I'm looking at them right now. So, well, hopefully I'll see you next week then, dude.
Yeah, and we'll stay in contact, man. It's truly a pleasure.
Yeah, ditto, man. All right, cheers, dude.
Cheers.
Okay, so here is our first segment of the listener picks. Should we call this the small, skinny one? It's a work in progress, but here's Stefano. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.
Hi, Ben. This is Stefano Ashbridge with drumlessonsinla.com. Thank you so much for the work you do with the Big Fat Five podcast. Hearing about the songs and drum parts that inspire other drummers takes me back to being blown away when I heard my favorites for the first time. One of those favorites is the intro to Say Goodbye by the Dave Matthews Band, specifically the fill that kicks off the song at about the 1 minute mark. I remember how fresh and inventive Carter Beaufort's drumming sounded to me when I first heard it, especially in that style of music. Every time I hear that fill, I'm taken back to the visual of Carter playing through the song in his instructional video. He established the groove playing with the ProMark hot rods, and that fill crescendos nicely into the rest of the song. Anyway, keep up the great work. Thanks again.
So here we are tonight, you and me together, with the storm outside and the fire's bright. Oh, and in your eyes I see what's on my mind.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using Isotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at isotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye.